Did anyone get a chance to listen to the lyrics of Mississippi Goddamn? Just you can just give a shout out or just write a quick yes. Got a yes. Okay. First, also I have another question. Has anyone before this moment, has anyone ever heard of Nina Simone? Yes or no? Admitting someone. Okay. Okay, I'm not. Who's answering here? Anyone's ever heard of Nina Simone? Is that a yes from you, Alyssa, or no? I got a nope from Alyssa. Okay, all right. Yeah, the Nina Simone. She would have definitely have been before most of your times. She was. She's from New York, and she was a jazz singer. And she was performing during the '60s movement, '60s civil rights movement with Dr. King. And she wasn't really she was trying to stay away from protest songs and the action of the civil rights movement. She just wanted to be a performer and do her thing. And, but I think there was a bombing in Alabama of a church and 4 little girls were killed, if anyone has ever heard of it. I know Spike Lee did a documentary on it. I think it's called 4 Little Girls. And these young girls, I think about 8 or 9 years old, were all killed by a white supremacist. And it was upsetting to many people, not just Black people, but many people were upset. And there were a lot of killings like that during that time. Even Mississippi, which is Mississippi Goddamn, there were 3 men who were in the South trying to help Black people register to vote. One, an African-American who's from the South. The other 2 were not from the South. They were from the North. It was a Jewish man and a white man just coming into the town of Mississippi to help people register to vote, and they were killed by a Klansman. It took them months to find their bodies. They had to get special FBI agents in. They made a movie about it called Mississippi Burning, which is really intense. If you get a chance, I believe it's on Amazon now. Mississippi Burning. And so with all that happening, Miss Simone sat down and wrote the song, Mississippi Goddamn. And with that information, I would like to hear, Mr. Berenstein and I would like to hear, what was your first initial thoughts when you heard the song? Did it resonate with you? Did you understand anything? And if you didn't, that is okay too. So
yeah, some of the questions we asked in Padlet, what do you visualize? Is this song relevant in 2020? So if you answered that, you can tell us what you wrote. We'll go check out the Padlet in a minute. But anybody who did hear the song, what did you think about the song? What did you visualize when you heard it? And is the song relevant? So I can't actually see the chat, Ms. Bosmond. So if anybody's writing anything, you can.
Yeah, I don't see anything yet.
Okay. I think in this function of screen sharing, it's difficult to see the chat.
I know Alyssa said she's gonna. I believe she said she's gonna try to watch Mississippi Burning if she can.
Cool.
Some people have left us.
Yes, some people had to go to other lessons. Again, we're recording this for people.
And guys, not to put you all on the spot, I mean, if you haven't thought about what you want to write, this is a good time to listen and get some insight from your other classmates to get some idea. This is not a gotcha moment. This is just a sharing.
Yeah, what we'll do is let's go check out the Padlet. Let's see what other people had to say. Share out. It's going to take a second for me to figure out. Sorry for that, guys. Let's share right here. I'm still in here, but you know what? That's fine. I will copy that, and I will share. That's weird. For some reason, I think that's. All right, it's not coming up here for a second. Give me 1 second. Okay, now let's try to share the screen.
We have something from Jalen. Excuse me.
Awesome. Thank you, Jalen.
She says, I visualized the pain that Black people were going through at the time. Okay. Thank you very much.
That's a great answer. Obviously, the song exposes a lot of the pain of seeing what's happening in each of these cities and knowing that that's happening and expressing the frustration of it. So here's a couple of answers from people. Zara wrote that she visualizes the way she sings the song and the tune. How the tempo changes. Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting that people are seeing this in a musical sense and really feeling the music kind of switch pace when the talk about that pain and the frustration kicks in. The tune is energizing.
Yeah.
How aggressive she was singing, the pain she feels, stressful story, how fed up she is with what's happening. Keith says, I visualize people fed up, being oppressed, who want to be free of these chains, and people being discriminated and mistreated for their color. The pain in the way she's singing, how stressful she was. Someone that's tired and exhausted of asking for something. Jacob wrote, she seems extremely stressed out and she dislikes everything that's happening. And Nathan wrote, visualize the 1950s, but for real, I see that this lady is frustrated with dealing with inequality. And then for the second question, is the song relevant in 2020?
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. I'm sorry, because Kareem just wrote in the chat, I visualized the look on people's faces when they would suffer. So I get that. Thank you, Kareem.
Awesome. So is this song relevant in 2020? Not knowing when our day would be our last, so we're trying to be cautious. To this day, people of color are still demanding that they are brought their rights. Yes, this is relevant to 2020 because in the song she was talking about equality, and there is no equality, still no equality for all people. Yes, because still in 2020, people are fighting for equal rights. Same thing is going on in the song right now. Still same problems. Experience still happens to this day. Racism and inequality still going on. So again, a lot of people seem to think that this is still going on, and it's relevant. And then Nathan wrote that the song relates because we haven't fully solved the problem of racism and injustice that have haunted previous generations. I think that's true. I think the news yesterday with Breonna Taylor shows that very distinctly, very starkly. We're in a very distraught time with all that happening. So, that's, again, part of why we're talking about the idea of protests and protest movements, because it is very relevant right now, what's happening. Ms. Bosmond?
And first I want to add Alyssa's comment. She had written, she visualized that Black people were just angry or tired of the treatment, or Nina was just yelling at those people who caused the hurt. Okay, so thank you very much, Alyssa, for
awesome.
that.
Yes, Ms. Bosmond.
Yeah, I mean, as I was listening to what you all were saying and writing, I also, and this is my opinion, you guys could certainly disagree with it. I also think as an African American, it's not just like we need African American trying to wake others up. I think sometimes it's awakening of ourselves as well, because I think sometimes we get desensitized to things that we hear. And sometimes I hear things and I don't hear the wrong yet. I'm like, so, I mean, like, that's how they do things, right? I don't know how warrants work and blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes I have to have someone help me understand that there was an injustice done. So sometimes it's not just looking out there, people wake up. Sometimes it's looking within and going, sometimes I have to wake up, because so many times we just let things just roll off. You know, I don't know how anyone feels about that, but it's not anyone against any particular race. It's people against a system. It's that Nina Simone is not raging at any particular persons, but I believe she's raging at a system that allows these things to happen. Does anyone understand that or want to ask a question about that?
Alyssa agrees.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and it goes back to, and Lexi agrees and understands, I think it goes back to something that for the spring semester, when we've been reading Night by Elie Wiesel, who's a Holocaust survivor, and a very famous quote, you've probably seen it in different social media places by that.
For advisory, they've seen posters up like
Oh, sure, yeah. The idea of saying nothing basically values an oppressor, that people should speak up and speak out. And I know my mom taught me and believes in speaking up when something doesn't sit right.
Right. And it will carry us into our next unit when we get into Greek tragedies. You know, it's like when the speak up for injustice, you know, even people that say nothing are just as bad as the people that are committing the injustice.
Right. The idea of and with Night, we talk about bystanders and upstanders. But that's way in the future, but it definitely applies to us right now. A lot of agreeing in the chat. Okay. Ms. B, do you want to do a minute on claim and evidence, or should we go to Let America Be America?
I think we should probably just go right into the poem.
Okay, so let me bring that up. Let's share the screen again. And again, guys, forgive me because
we may not get to go over all of it because it's long.
Yeah, it's well, also because I am a relative newbie with sharing screens and stuff like that. So there we go. All right, so as you guys look through this PowerPoint, you are going to see about creating a precise claim, some vocabulary about that. Did we want to go over this non-violent versus protest?
That's a good one, yeah. Yes.
So protesters may organize a protest as a way of publicly making their opinions heard in an attempt to influence public opinion or government policy, or they may undertake direct action in an attempt to enact desired changes themselves. So think about what would go into each category. What did you guys see in nonviolent protest? How does that take place? And what is violent protest? What does that look like? So if you guys want to write some answers in the chat, or if there's anybody who wants to unmute and answer that, we'll take a minute for that.
Are we doing nonviolent first, or?
Yeah, we could do nonviolent first.
Okay. I like the blue and red box.
Thank you. I didn't do the blue. I didn't do the blue box. That was there already. Whoever set that up. But I did the red one to kind of differentiate.
Yeah, that's what I like.
All right. Any answers in the chat?
I don't see any as of yet.
Okay. So we haven't really done a lot of cold calling too much, guys. And again, we're not going to put you under pressure here, but in the future, we may end up calling on people and saying, so-and-so, tell me what you think. But we're going to start it nice and easy right now.
Excuse me?
Hey.
Oh, hi.
What's up, Lexley?
Oh, hi. I think nonviolent, like, protest will be, like, when it's not, like, crazy, like, no fights. And like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lexley. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for participating. That makes me happy that people are willing to do that. Yeah, for sure. Things that don't go violent, things that don't result in physical incidents, attacks, that kind of stuff. Sure.
And while we're thinking about it also, can we think of any particular anything we may have seen on television or maybe even walking down the street where a non-violent act is happening? A nonviolent protest act. Yes, Alyssa, I see your hand up.
It wasn't necessarily on TV, but I'm pretty sure it does happen. We did watch the movie The Haste. I don't remember what it is, but basically they had a protest, but they also had people in the protest that when things get a little violent, they are able to calm down the crowd, and they're kind of like this someone who mediates between the police and the protesters to calm them
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Alyssa, for that. I have a comment written
It's a
here.
great example.
I have a comment here from, please forgive me if I pronounce anyone's name wrong. Is it Salwa? Peaceful marches in public areas. Yes, that is certainly a nonviolent way of protesting.
Can I share a nonviolent and violent?
Sure.
A nonviolent way of protesting is how Dr. King used to protest with, you don't do anything to them unless they do something to you. And then the way Malcolm X used to protest, any means necessary.
That's Jalen, right? Is that you who just said that? Awesome. Great examples.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I just got to clear something up. With Dr. King, he never hit back. Even if they did throw food at him or punch him, he never hit back. Malcolm X has never hit back. Malcolm X did say that if someone came at him with a gun or a bomb, he felt it was within his right to attack back. He's verbally said that. He has never been in a violent situation. So, just to let you know.
If anybody saw the movie Selma, which has been on cable TV many times over the last couple of years or so, there's definitely some very intense depictions of those moments of crossing the bridge, what happens with the police, that kind of stuff. And I feel like, obviously, it's the movie version there's a lot of real life reference, but we can never unless we were there, we can never truly know the intensity of that. But what we saw this summer, I think, helps clue us in to what it was like.
Okay.
And how hard it must have been to resist fighting back.
Yes. I have a question. Are petitions also considered a peaceful protest? Yes, it is, most certainly. And we have boycotts or marathons, burning stuff. I guess that would be in the violent part. Yes. Wait, well, you talking about like a burning of a flag? Is that considered? I don't even know what that's considered. Is that?
I think it would technically, because it's destruction of property, but it is I think we litigated this. It's guaranteed under freedom of speech, at least for now.
I just don't like burning things, but that's just me.
I mean, there's I think there are other ways of doing it, but I don't think I don't look bad on it. I feel like if that's a desperate move, it tells you how bad people are thinking about something.
I understand.
But anyway, we're going to move on. A really great participation from everybody there. Really, thank you so much for starting to speak up and in the chat and also in person. That's like Ms. Bosmond and I really want to see more of that, and you guys did that, which is very cool. So again, you can get this list of nonviolent and violent actions because again, just to tie it all together, again, the protest argument essay question is, are peaceful protests necessary for change? So next week when we start reading articles about nonviolent versus violent protests, the pros and cons of each, what happens to affect change, those things will come together. All right, so let's get to, we'll spend the next 10 minutes or so on Let America Be America, and then I think we'll close up, unless we can spend more time if we need to, but I think 10 minutes or so I think will be good, because we don't want to, people have other classes to get to, and we don't want to keep them overly long.
Definitely.
There are other slides here you can look at on your own time, and I've made this PowerPoint editable, so you can move around the boxes for yourself to find the answers. You can review. Is anybody confused about claim and evidence at this point? I don't want to overlook that because that is a big part of the next few weeks, but we will also still have plenty of time to talk about that if you need So if anybody has any questions about claim, you can put that in the chat. We'll answer that as we go along. This table here goes through a little, it's pretty good separation of what a claim is versus what a claim is not and how to differentiate the two. All right, and then let's get to Let America Be America again. Ms. Bosmond, do you want to talk for a minute about that while I bring up the graphic organizer?
Sure. Let America Be America. First of all, Langston Hughes. He's what they call a Renaissance writer. He also wrote the poem that starts "A Raisin in the Sun." I always forget. I talk about it all the time and I forget it now. It's A Dream Deferred. So if anyone's ever heard of, and also Life for Me Ain't Been No Crystal Stair. If anyone's ever heard of that poem, Langston Hughes wrote that. He wrote this poem in 1939, I believe, which I find interesting because we see the hat "Make America Great Again," and I'm like, wow, there's a poem that says "Let America Be America Again." So that poem was written. It's straightforward. I would like to know, in your own words, what does that mean to you? Let America be America. What does the poem suggest when he says, "Let America be America"? I mean, it's actually again, but let America be America again.
Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me, is the first 5 verses of the poem. And by the way, just want to make this is an earlier version of the Word document. I did upload a simpler table version, so I know people had trouble writing in this section here. So the other version is up on the lesson right now. It's a simple table format.
Can I say something?
It will be simpler moving forward.
Yes. Yes. Who unmuted themselves? Jalen?
No, me.
Oh. Lexley? Is that you?
No, Francesca.
Francesca, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling through the boxes here. Welcome in. What's up?
So I don't even think that back then America was safe, because back then it was worse than now. Like, there was a lot of slaves and everything was just worse than how it used to be, segregation and everything. So I don't know what the poem means by "Let America Be America Again."
Ooh, good point. Let's just, so again, Langston Hughes would have written after the Civil War, after the freedom of slaves, but again, during a period of segregation and Jim Crow laws. So the idea of America being America again, I think it ties into that second verse, the dream it used to be, this ideal that people always bring up that really maybe was never the real, at least especially to the poet, to Hughes. It says, "America never was America to me." This idea of the American dream of opportunity for everyone, the promise in the Constitution, that we are all created equal, that kind of stuff. I think that may be what he's referring to. And again, of course, for certain, for people, for slaves, through the first 100 plus years of American history, that wasn't true. That wasn't possible. So I think that's kind of the way I interpret the poem's first few lines there. I hope that helps. Ms. Bosman, if you want to add anything.
What I would add to that, someone had written here, "America was never free," though. But I will say, in a sense, it was for others. I mean, when you think about, ideally, people came here to have a better life from somewhere else, and I mean, we have, France gave us the Statue of Liberty, and, when people come here, they're going for opportunity. They're going for, something better. And that's the ideal is what it was first. You know what I mean? Ideally, that's what it was supposed to have been. And it was that for some, just not others. And there was more than one other that it wasn't for. We think about the indigenous people, the Native Americans that were here. We certainly can't, the poem doesn't leave them out. So it's just, who was it free for? What can it be? What will it be? How do we get it there? I think that's some of the questions the reader is supposed to ask themselves as well. Does that help anyone a little bit?
No, that's great, Miss B. Thank you so much for that. I think that's great. said it great. So does anybody have any other specific questions about the poem, if you've read the poem yet? Or if you have questions about the assignment, we'll just stop here for a second so you can ask that. And then we'll pick up with the poem and finish that up. Katia says the word free in America does not apply to everyone or race. Alyssa says, I feel we're supposed to be a land to create new life and opportunity. Great. Those are both great responses, great analysis. Again, when we do analysis of a line of or a poem, we're looking at the why and the how, and those are two great examples of how you can figure out what the meaning is and what the message is behind something. So,
and also, as we're talking about race, we certainly can't leave out gender as well. You know, I mean, who were the people that weren't able to vote for many years in this country?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think women were the last to get their 1920s, I believe. They got the right to vote. So it's, I mean, we certainly can't leave that aspect out of when we talk about that stuff.
Absolutely. Let me go back to share the screen. Ms. Bosmond, is there anything else you wanted to discuss in the poem? Any other questions that we think is important to get to here?
There's a question that was supposed to have been added, but I will just add it, just something to think about. What does it mean today? Let America be America again today. How would that apply to today? I mean, you have.
It's a very loaded phrase with Donald Trump's MAGA catchphrase, which, you know, and then people who are protesting and resisting against that, who they want America to be America again, but it's not the America that the current president thinks it should be. So it's a very loaded phrase, Ms. Bosmond, absolutely.
Yeah, I almost started to get a T-shirt that said that, but I just thought people would get the wrong impression, so I decided to not do it.
No. Anyway. So yeah, think about how. So again, one of the beginning questions of the poem was, what does the title suggest about what the poet thinks about America? And then at the end, we were asking, like, well, how is everything relevant to right now, to 2020? Again, I like this part here talking about the different types of Americans. You know, I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today despite the dream, beaten yet today. O pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned. That's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home, for I'm the one who's left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand I came to build a homeland of the free. So, I mean, in that section, in those two verses or stanzas, you really have that collection of the people who Hughes considers in this poem. Who is he speaking for? Who is he speaking about? And it's a lot of different demographics, a lot of different people.
Alyssa put, no offense, but isn't it hard being Black, LGBTQ, I'm sorry, I might get my alphabets, LGBTQ, and woman. I will say for the Black part, honey, it's hard being poor Black person. You know,
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure rich Black people have their issues, but I think the poor part probably plays more into the challenges than the Black part, you know? And as for the other two, oh, certainly, you know, and I would still add, poor can probably add to those other two as well, you know, but Virginia Woolf once said, for a woman to be free, she needs to have her own money and her own home, a room of one's own. So to me, once again, that goes into the money thing. And the middle group, I'm a strong supporter of that. And yes, it is definitely a challenge. Yeah, I like to use challenge because hard means there's nothing can be done. But you know, challenge means we have hurdles to climb, but people do it, and we'll continue to do it.
That was beautifully said, Ms. B. And I want to, first of all, that's an awesome comment. Yes. And again, it's a good way of relating it to modern times. And again, you know, and also Katiera, I see you reacted to that. Thank you for that. And you put yourself on video. So obviously, I think this may be connected with you, which is awesome. The idea of LGBTQ connections, I mean, it's a little bit more common now to be a little bit, no, I'm not going to say easier, but I'm going to say there's an opportunity now to be out and to have that part of your identity expressed. And we support that obviously in the classroom, Ms. Bosmond and I, and Mr. Neiman's is a huge part of that culture in the school. But yes, to be a minority of a minority is very difficult. Or not? You said not to use difficult. I'm sorry. A challenge.
It's
a challenge. And again, you know, that's why we included some of the protest photos are of the Pride rallies and protests. The anniversary of Stonehenge, a major anniversary of Stonewall. I'm thinking of Spinal Tap here. Stonewall was a riot, and people are saying, like, you know, well, why are people rioting? Well, because people do have violent protests sometimes because tensions explode, and sometimes people feel there's no other resort but to have a expression like that in order to fight for what they believe in. So, you know, it's a part of the cycle here that happens. So I really appreciate and support those questions and the answers there. Yeah, for sure. You know, and again, I'm a cisgender white male, but you know, there's also a part of my identity, although I'm not religious, as a part of my identity, I'm Jewish. You know, and you know, there are definitely things that are happening right now in the culture where there are comments like the president made about people having good genes and bad genes, and that's language straight out of the Nazi playbook, where it's like the Jews were thought, and blacks and gays and all the minorities were thought to have poor genes. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff here that's a challenge to deal with. I'm not going to cover up and say it's not. Although I'm not religious, there are definitely moments, you know, where I consider myself to be pretty much a roll with the punches guy with that. But then it's like, whoa, it's definitely there. So yeah, we all have varying degrees of dealing with it, of having to deal with it.
Exactly.
I'm rambling, so I'm going to stop here.
Yeah. I like what you said about that. I just want to add, I'm not Muslim, but I do, I fight for Muslims. You know, a lot of Muslims do look like me, and are people of color. So it's like, you know, some people can assume I'm a Muslim just by looking at me, but I do fight for any injustice against any race. Because I feel like if you feel that way about Mexicans, you can't feel that great about African Americans, you know? So it's just like, I fight for everyone. Like I'm fighting for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my.
Anybody else want to add anything? You can add that in the chat, respond. We're going to close with this part of the organizer, the questions section, just to break that down for you guys. And then we will dismiss you guys so that you can do other work and other classes. But again, every assignment that we do has these three, for this unit, has these three questions. What is the claim being made in the article? What is one piece of evidence that supports the claim? So again, you can quote from the article, you could paraphrase the major ideas, some of which we've talked about today, and then explain how the evidence supports the claim. Use your own words to analyze the claim. So some sentence fragment starters to these sentences are available if you need them. When we talk about the claim, we talk about it in a general sense, right? Whatever the claim of the poem, there may be many different arguments in a poem, but what's the major claim being made by Langston Hughes here? You know, and there are many different, just like a central idea has many central ideas, there may be several in a poem. There may be many different arguments, but try to label one, try to focus on one. The major claim being made in the article is, one piece of evidence is, and the support evidence to claim.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I want these students need to know that bell is going on still. The teachers are the ones with the bells now, man. This is like a complete role reversal. No, I guess soon enough, the plan to get back in person. We'll see if that works. They'll have to hear it too. But yeah, the bell is still going on, everybody.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Just in case you didn't know, there's still bells going on to annoy the teachers. So you can take some schadenfreude, some pleasure in that if you want. You know, I don't mind. I'm here at home. I have my construction that helps me out. Okay. Every so often I get a drill or a horn, and it's just like, yeah.
It started for me, so you might see me jump every now and then.
Yeah, it's fun. We got some question from Salwa. When filling out the sheets, does it have to be typed, or could I digitally write the answers? Can you clarify what you mean by that, Salwa? When you say digitally write the answers, do you mean like with a pen, like a stylus pen, or is it something else? I think, you know, we prefer typed, but if there's a way that you can get it done where we can understand it and see it, yes, with an Apple Pencil. Ms. Bosmond, what do you think? Is that okay?
First, I'm jealous because I want an Apple Pencil. But yes, if you're able to do it and it's legible, why not?
Sure. Okay, there you have it. Any other questions of a technical sense? Okay. All right, guys, so the assignments are due Friday is the initial due date. We are going to give you the weekend. You know what I may do is I may adjust the due date because Monday we do have off, so I may give you Monday to finish it too. So I'll have to adjust that in the thing, but I'll do that later.
I will do it as well.
All right. So we're going to close up shop here, guys. I want to thank you for yeah, no problem, Mohammed. I want to thank you guys for attending. I see Katiera, Alyssa, and Adeja. You guys are there. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments and participation in the chat, everyone. And believe me, we really appreciate you being here. We will try to figure out what's going to happen in the next week in terms of, you know, this week, every day, 9 a.m., we're going to do Ms. Bosmond and I meeting. And then when we do in person, I'll have meetings I hold as well. So you guys, please feel free to go. We will see you next time.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.